The health of a person is more than just the physicality of things. Where we live, what we eat, the things we do daily, it all matters. These are all factors that come alongside genetics. And just like genetics, these can be things that are sometimes out of our control. Who we are in society plays a huge role in our health. To get a better idea of this, let's compare two vastly different people from very different backgrounds. Our first person is a white single woman who is self-employed. Let's name her Elizabeth. Elizabeth can afford to live away from the pollution of the big city. She has access to clean air and fresh drinking water. Elizabeth spends her days working and expanding her business. But on top of that, she has the time to exercise and prepare fresh, organic meals for herself. Our second person is a lower middle class, single Hispanic woman who works as a manager in a retail store. Let's name her Elena. Elena lives near the center of town where traffic is high along with air pollution. Elena takes care of herself the best that she can, but isn't always able to eat the healthiest or be active throughout the day. These two women are different, but they have something in common. They both have type 1 diabetes. This means that their bodies are unable to produce insulin on their own and they need to inject it into themselves throughout the day to keep their bodies healthy and functioning correctly. Dealing with type 1 diabetes is a difficult task on its own, but it may be even more tricky for Elena as she cannot always afford her insulin. Two women with the same disease, and yet only one can afford to keep herself healthy, just because of where she lives and her line of work. Does that seem fair? Does that seem equal? The following digital short will be reporting the research gathered on the work being done in Sacramento, California, and its surrounding areas by the Health Education Council as well as Policy Link, two organizations that address issues of inequality within underserved communities. Diverse city and yet still discrimination. My first resource is Health Equity Now, toward an all-in Sacramento, a report created by Policy Link that discusses the research completed in hopes of showing the circumstances of Sacramento and how they can be bettered. The city of Sacramento and its surrounding areas are very diverse, full of people of all different backgrounds and cultures. With the amount of diversity present, you'd think that there would be more equality among the people. Actually, it's quite the opposite. Sacramento has a lengthy history of inequity. As explained in the report, it is crucial to recognize the link between segregated communities, lending practices, and land use, and to understand how these systems continue to affect the quality of life of the region's population. The history of Sacramento is one of the leading reasons that there are issues of inequality within underserved communities. Gentrification and discrimination. Continuing on the topic of discrimination, the report created by PolicyLink also covers information on how people of color, or non-whites, were discriminated against when it came to housing and lending money for housing. This forced people of color to be bunched into neighborhoods with high health and safety risks, such as tuberculosis and fires. If that isn't bad enough, people of color were then displaced from their homes for redevelopment to gentrify their neighborhoods, which, as explained in the report, disrupted the networks that provided residents with social support, destroyed small businesses, and eliminated countless jobs. This meant that people of color were once again being displaced while being grouped together in low-income neighborhoods within Sacramento and its surrounding areas. Lack of affordable housing. The issue with housing in Sacramento and its surrounding areas is that it is neither available nor affordable. The Policy Link report explains that many people of color are rent burdened. This means that they are spending more than 30% of their income on housing. The data found was that 64% of Black renters pay more than 30% of their income on rent alone, while 59% of Latinos are doing the same. This graph shows the percentage of jobs that are low wage in comparison to the percentage of rental housing units that are affordable. We can see that in Sacramento metro area, 24% of jobs have low wages, while only 18% of housing units are affordable to this 24% of people. And this continues to be an issue throughout Sacramento, Placer, Yolo, and El Dorado, as we can see from the graph. This means that while people of color are rent burdened, it leaves them with fewer opportunities to care for other factors, such as their health. Finances play a role in health. These low-income neighborhoods within Sacramento and its surrounding areas, which are predominantly made up of people of color, continue to face the consequences of being segregated from other socioeconomic groups. One of these consequences is the state of their health. In the Policy Link report, it is said that the consequences can be directly connected to health outcomes, as those living in disadvantaged communities tend to have poorer health and higher rates of chronic disease than those living in more affluent areas. This indicates that where you live matters, and that there is importance in having accessible health care, especially for those who need it. Finances playing a role in the health of a person correlates to the work that has been done by Policy Link in regards to addressing the issues of inequity within underserved communities. Better affordable housing. The Policy Link report not only contains the issues at hand, but also solutions for how to improve these issues. An important subject that is addressed is housing affordability. It was previously discussed that housing is not easily accessible for people of color for many reasons, including discrimination and low-wage jobs. It is discussed in the Policy Link report that the current policies put into place contain discrimination through racial bias and racist attitudes. To improve this, Policy Link suggests a change in policy that would increase access to high-quality, affordable homes and prevent displacement. Housing security is an important aspect of staying healthy and creating a state of equity for Sacramento and its surrounding areas. The plan consists of protecting current residents who have affordable housing and maintaining affordable units. Protecting residents would prevent a repeat of gentrification and discrimination towards those living there. Additionally, maintaining affordable units will lessen the number of people who are struggling with housing insecurity. They plan on maintaining affordable housing by increasing the minimum wage and expanding the number of jobs that pay well. If these policies are able to be put into place, this will be a step in the right direction for people in underserved communities, which is what Policy Link is working towards. Economic security. In hopes of creating a better, more equitable community in Sacramento and its surrounding areas, Policy Link has suggested that we increase the economic security and mobility of vulnerable families and workers. This is less of a policy and more of a recommendation, but it is for the greater good of the people involved. Policy Link defines economic security as having enough money to cover basic needs and enough savings to weather unanticipated setbacks and invest for the future. This has been especially challenging because 42% of Black workers with less than a high school diploma are unemployed in the Sacramento region. This is why it is suggested that people build assets. This consists of pursuing incentivized savings accounts that encourage low-income families to grow financially. Obtaining economic security is a challenging task, but it is something that can be very helpful for obtaining things like healthcare and even pursuing higher education, which is something that will be helpful in the future. Building economic security will help the people within underserved communities to prosper. 5 social drivers of health. Health access and wellness education. My second resource is the Health Education Council website. The Health Education Council is an organization that works to empower those within underserved communities to create a better living for themselves and their communities. As seen on their website, they have described there to be 5 social drivers of health, 2 of these being health access and wellness education. Health access to the Health Education Council is ensuring everyone has access to culturally relevant and supportive health programs and environments regardless of zip code. Zip code or income should not be a deciding factor for whether or not a person gets their needs met, which is why this can be seen as one of the ways that the Health Education Council is working to address issues of inequity within Sacramento and its surrounding areas. The Health Education Council also understands the importance of teaching others how to care for themselves through wellness education, which they do by providing free resources and tools to increase understanding of priority health conditions and cultivate healthier behaviors to combat them. By providing wellness education and health access, Health Education Council is creating the ability for the people of Sacramento and its surrounding areas to feel somewhat knowledgeable in these subjects. Economic well-being. Continuing with the 5 social drivers of health, the Health Education Council is considering economic well-being to be an important factor in the health of a person. This further supports my previous claim of finances play a role in health, by not only addressing that there is an issue at hand, but also by helping people to better themselves financially. The Health Education Council considers economic well-being to consist of building sustainable economic foundations for individuals, families, and small businesses as a foundation of community health. The mention of community health is very important because the growth of a community may also aid in the growth of a person as part of that community within Sacramento and its surrounding areas. Social connection and community safety. The 2 final social drivers of health, as addressed by the Health Education Council, are social connection and community safety. The Council defines social connection as strengthening family and community connections in order to remove stigma and boost support related to addressing mental and physical health issues. People need support in life, and this is why they are being taught how to receive and provide support to themselves and those around them. Community safety is the last social driver of health that I will be introducing. The Council defines community safety as improving community safety and connectedness to revitalize neighborhoods and gathering points that drive increased health and well-being. The safety that a person feels is highly vital for their day-to-day life, which means that when a community can come together to maintain safety, this will greatly help the communities in Sacramento and its surrounding areas. Incorporating social connection and community safety into a community's daily practices will help them to thrive just a little bit better. which is the main point of the work being done by the Health Education Council. Lead with equity. To lead with equity is to have just and fair inclusions into a society in which everyone can participate, prospect, and reach their full potential. My first resource, Health Equity Now, Toward an All in Sacramento, is a report completed by Policy Link, which urges Sacramento and its leaders to lead with equity. The report states that equity seeks to counteract the barriers and systemic exclusions, which are historic and current, that prevent people from every racial and ethnic group from realizing their potential. Leading with equity is an essential part of helping understand communities no longer be underserved, which is exactly what Policy Link and the Health Education Council are fighting for. It is important that we as a society understand and acknowledge the lack of equity that people in underserved communities are faced with. By knowing the issues that are being faced, we can take the steps necessary to make a change. In this case, we would have to contact policymakers and the Council of Sacramento in order for them to know what changes we as a community need. There are certain ways that people can help themselves to no longer be in poverty, but the cycle of poverty is an issue bigger than people can take on by themselves. Poverty is a systemic problem that stems from racial biases created by the Sacramento government, which is why they would need to take the steps necessary to fix the problem they caused. The two organizations discussed, Policy Link and Health Education Council, have done immense amounts of work to help issues within underserved communities, but they can only do so much. This is why it is important for policymakers and the Council of Sacramento to lead with equity and create a better community in Sacramento and its surrounding areas. Thank you.